Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cycle Podcast. This is an episode of Across the Pond, and very exciting news. Elva and I finally met in person. So if you have been listening to this show for the past 3 years, you've heard us chat many, many times, and we finally were able to meet in person during Endometriosis Awareness Month. And we actually still liked each other meeting in person. At least, well, Elva, I liked you. I don't know. How was it for you?
Still like you. It was very important that we got that knocked on the head. No, it was amazing. It's kind of a blur. It's kind of forgotten it happened. But it was so exciting. Yeah. What was it? 2 weeks ago now? 2-ish weeks ago?
Yeah.
How exciting. And how exciting for it to happen during March, which was really important and really cool. And it was just really awful that it had to happen in New York, which I'd never been to. So it was a very hard journey for me to make.
Yes, it was so hard, I'm sure. Yeah, so we wanted to kind of do just Endo month. I don't know, I guess a little recap, but really mostly to just say hi to everyone, see how everyone's doing after Endometriosis Awareness Month. The first one that really, there's been a lot more activity going on and film screenings and things like that because, you know, it's been the pandemic the past couple of years. So there's just feels like there's been a lot more momentum. I don't know, Elva, did you feel like a lot more momentum this year with endo awareness?
Yeah, I think generally I did. And I think over this side of the pond, considering we talk about over the pond too, I've just had loads more people kind of mention it to me, or it's come up in the news more. What's nice to see as well is just what was nice for this year, I think, is what I saw a lot more of was just kind of keeping the conversation going and talking about the supports as opposed to too much around the science and the treatments. It's just getting it out there, normalizing it. And I think one thing that was really stands out, and I really hope it continues, is a lot more about early, not necessarily screening, but education. So a lot more about education programs in school, teaching younger people what to kind of look out for, what's normal and not normal. So yeah, it seemed like maybe a slightly nicer shift away from kind of too much of the science and the medicine, which is so important, and just more about the keeping the talking out there.
Yeah, for sure. I did. Someone just messaged me actually on LinkedIn and said that BBC had something on, I'm not sure, but something about endo, just even like this past week.
Yeah, I think it's actually been probably hard to keep up with. Like it's so out there that's a fair point. Like there's been so much more out there this year. It used to be that someone would send you a link or send you a mention and you'd go and look for it. Now it's kind of like it's popping up everywhere. So you kind of, you know, my mom mentioned to me the other day, oh, it's on TV again, and not in a dismissive way, but it's on TV again. And you're kind of like, it's probably going to be the same thing, a different story or a different version of it. But yeah, you kind of can't keep up. So the press, you know, jumped on it a lot of people's stories. But there's loads more studies and stuff I've seen happening. And it's really good to see some UK universities involved as well in some kind of more like pharmaceutical, not even pharmaceutical, but like drug stuff and treatment stuff, just investigating. So nothing, nothing decided or nothing proven yet, but just investigating. So yeah, it's a really good mix. But the education thing, I think that's going to be the next big, powerful thing. It has to be, right? It has to be that if you want people diagnosed earlier, they have to know what normal and not normal looks like, and to be able to support their friends as well. They might not have a period themselves, but what does it look like? What should someone go through? So I'd like to see that. I'd love to keep, stay involved in that kind of stuff if I was to kind of get into anything, the education piece.
Yeah, I agree with you. That is definitely super important and impactful. And I feel like Endo What's film Below the Belt has gotten a lot of traction even this whole year, but within March as well. And I know there was a ton of screenings in the UK. I don't know if there was anyone hosted anything in Ireland.
I'm pretty sure it was either then. Why was I not? Was it the weekend? I flew to New York or something like that. I couldn't go because I would have gone. I think it was while I was in New York. So I'm pretty sure there's been one screening before it, but there was another one because, again, it was March again. Loads in the UK. So, yeah, I'm good because I haven't seen it because it's only available at, like, screenings here. So I still haven't been able to watch it online as such.
Right. But I think it eventually will come. And, yeah, the screening here that I hosted in Detroit went really well. I felt like the panel went really well. I might actually publish, if I could figure out how, the audio from that off just the video that was taken from my phone. So, so I think I felt like, and maybe it was just more because everybody's out of their homes more, but I felt like it was great. It was a great march for just awareness and forward thinking and moving ahead. So, but back to us in New York, what did you think of New York City?
It's amazing. It is like everyone says who goes to New York. The first thing you notice once we got into the city was that you feel like you've been there before, because I just felt like I was walking around in all the TV shows I've seen. So it was great to get that feel. I have to say, and thanks to you, I got to experience it very local. I didn't even have to take out a map once, didn't have to take out my phone because I just follow you. So I kind of just breezed around, kind of escorted everywhere, which was brilliant. We did a bit of the touristy stuff, but we have similar styles of traveling where it's like, okay, let's just get this done. So we knocked out a load of things off the list on one particular morning, and we were like, lovely, took the photo, move on. We weren't hanging around. You were like, stand there, I'm taking your photo. Stand there, I'm taking your photo. I loved it though. And the thing is, I have to come back because it's just too big and too crazy. I mean, I was very disappointed by some things, like ice rink at Rockefeller Center is just tiny. You laughed and laughed. I was like, where is it? I thought it was the kids one. So for anyone who hasn't been, it's not. It's tiny. It's really tiny. We went to the top of the rock. We accidentally, unintentionally ended up in Mass at St. Patrick's Cathedral, which was beautiful and amazing because you'd never been in before. We took a selfie at Mass, which we weren't sure we might follow us around later in life, but I'm pretty sure we're forgiven. But no, look, we did so much. We had 5 full days. I arrived on St. Patrick's Day, which was very exciting. Loads of Irish people come to New York for St. Patrick's Day, and we just kind of rolled. I rolled into arrivals with you waiting for me. I kind of like we were just meeting up again, as opposed to meeting first time. Melissa was standing there with a big giant sign, which is still here actually in my room, waiting for me, also wearing really, really luxurious, expensive looking necklaces with shamrocks and rainbows on them from Walgreens. So
they lit up, just so everybody knows. They light up.
They light up. I took them home, and some wrist like sweatbands with shamrocks on them. So look, I'm going to stop talking because I could keep talking for ages. New York is brilliant, and I just met loads of people who were lovely, and I got a lovely feel for it. And it's definitely somewhere that doesn't sleep. You can see how it just, and it's great. Again, back to the whole thing. Like, I suppose it's alive again. I cannot imagine it during lockdown times. It must have been a really crazy, trippy place. But and then I got to go to New Jersey, which is surely on everybody's list when they also go to New York. I don't know. But I got to go to New Jersey with you, so that was exciting. I had an amazing trip, and I think you had a good week too. I know you ended up having to kind of cart me around, but we did some cool stuff. We did.
No, we had so much fun, and we weren't nervous at all. So I think what it shows, and one thing it's so random that, Elva and I just connected as endo patients. We did chuckle the first time, or not the first time she reached out, but I asked her to email me some details about her endo story, and I tease her about this, but she sent me a short novel. I think it's up for a Pulitzer Prize. And so we laugh about that. Yeah, she only sent me volume 1, but we just knew that we were going to be friends. I think after I read her short novel, I just was like, well, we're going to end up being friends. So I think it just shows the power, though, of like the internet and connecting and having spaces like this show and all of the people that are so willing to come on and chat about their story and just making connections and having those like endo friends, especially that when it's hard and things are hard. And so when we were in New York, and I had a great time, and I loved carting you around. So no big deal there. I totally enjoyed it. And I thought it was great. We had lovely weather. We were so lucky because you never know in New York, it could be raining and just gross. And I think Elva really enjoyed the trash on the street. I think that was a new thing for her to see. But
the subway,
yeah, it's just
amazing. I've said this frequently since I got back. The next time I'm in London, I take the tube. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna take out my dinner and eat it off the floor. It's gonna be so luxurious. The subway was grim, and I've traveled in many crazy places around the world, but that was an experience.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah, and you were like, this is a good day. I was like, wow, what's a bad day?
Seriously, I highly recommend everybody follow Subway Creatures on Instagram if you want to see what the subways are like in New York. Pretty entertaining. But so it was lovely, but I also did start the trip not feeling so great. So I think it's so nice to be able to travel with someone. And Elva was so supportive and was so helpful and just giving me tips and tricks and making me tea.
Feeding. I just had to keep feeding you. It was like Irish tour. I was just like, you know, if anyone Irish is listening, I nearly had to have like a wooden spoon where I was like, eat. Because you were like, oh, eat. And I was like, eat something. I was like, boiling you out, giving you a single egg or just handing you crackers or going and making a plate of stuff at an event we were at where I was like, oh, the best was where you just really weren't sure. There was a big pile of bagels on a table and it was meant to be gluten-free, but I totally get it. Like, of all times you don't want to get that wrong is when you're not feeling well. And I was just like, well, I'll know because I can generally know. So it was like the king back in medieval times where there was this day where I just kept tasting everything going, yeah, you're fine. That's fine. And then I kept passing.
That's gluten-free. That's not. So Elva had to taste all my food before I ate.
I could sign up for a lifetime of food tasting for people. That is not a problem. Seriously.
I mean, that it doesn't sound like a terrible job. No. That's for sure. Unless you get some gluten-free stuff might not be the best thing that you've ever tasted.
Back to food in New York. I came home and everyone asked me, like, where'd you go for pizza? Where'd you go for a bagel? Where'd you go for a burger? I was like, I didn't have any of those. So I had a great week and we did eat some amazing, gorgeous food. But there was also a great benefit of traveling with someone who gets how we have to be careful about food and wasn't feeling well because we ate so clean. And we walked so far. We were probably like the fittest and healthiest we've ever been. So as opposed to going to like New York and coming back and just being like full of processed stuff, we were like two green influencers or something. So but there you go. Next time I have to have pizza.
I told you we had to get you pizza and we did not get pizza. That was an epic fail.
Yeah, but I went on the subway.
Next time. You did go on the subway. Yes, you did.
But I want to come back to your point on the community thing. And you're right, because even this last week, I also then came back from New York, had a day or two at home and got a nasty dose of COVID. Whereas the first time I had COVID, I didn't even know, only I had to go in a hospital for a procedure and had to do a test and had no symptoms. And it was so bizarre because then my surgery got called off. But this time I got all the symptoms and I felt really rough. Fine, didn't need a doctor, but felt really rough for a week. But, and then I've had a UTI this week out of it and I'm on antibiotics. And it's fine. But once or twice this week of just someone has asked how you're feeling and you mentioned something and it's like you say, I don't have those direct UTI symptoms. It's like a different version because my pelvis at the moment is still just so frozen and messed up and gets so tight. And I think I missed that bladder infection because I've had a lot of pelvic pressure and pain elsewhere. And I'll just send you a message and I have an amazing support network, but you're kind of explaining something sometime and you can tell they want to get it, but they don't. Whereas with you, I'm like, yeah, I didn't realize. And we found a great bond, but I also think like when you find people and you find you can open up to them, it's just amazing to have that common mindset and that common understanding. And even without the science or the background, you just have the same feelings or the same experiences of something. So, we are testament to, if you're comfortable with it, opening yourself up to one or two people, because you can build these amazing friendships that will draw you across the Atlantic to meet each other. So I'm plugging that.
It could be a life changer, but yeah, I agree. And it is so nice to just have people that you can just send, like you said, Elva, like a text to that will just get it. And that's just a part of having a chronic illness that others just don't understand the same way. And I feel bad even like complaining about it sometimes, but it's like, I know I can go to you and there's a couple other people that I can go to and they just get it. And I'm not complaining. It's just the state that I'm in right now. And so, yeah, my stomach is still challenged. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with it. And I've been struggling with just anxiety, which is something that I haven't talked a lot about on the show. But at the end of the trip, your ovary was bothering you. So like we were just able to do the best to like support each other and give tips. And I gave Elva my heating pad. And so she had my heating pad while she was making me tea.
Amazing. And you know, it just shows as well the kind of the constant level sometimes. Like I just forgotten that night and it was just an awful overnight and it was my last night. And again, it's like, it's this level of pain where I know I didn't need a hospital. It wasn't what I call my danger pain, but you just felt rotten and it was a really intense pain and you're not at home. But it's so funny because you just like write that off and you like that as well wrote off like feeling anxious or your stomach because it's almost like next, moving on to the next thing. And sometimes you have to remember, that wasn't kind of the easiest trip, you know, digestive wise for you, but I was fine. But that heat pad, I don't think we really have those plug-in ones as much here. That was awesome. That was amazing.
Yeah. So tip for anyone, someone actually gave me this tip. I did not come up with it. So my normal like day-to-day heat pad is cherry pits that I put in the microwave because I feel like it gets the hottest and it can wrap around my body and I love it. They're called cherry pit packs and they're like handmade. I'm obsessed with them. My sister-in-law got me one like 10 years ago and now I like have 3 at all times to like in my bed. They're just all over the house. Yeah. But there's also one by Hormone University. I think hers is flax seeds, which is really nice. Smells nice. I like it. Doesn't get hot enough. But the point I'm trying to get to here is the one that I bring traveling because you never know if you're going to have a microwave in your hotel room is a USB one. So that's the one that I gave Elva. I think I got it off Amazon. It's just very thin. You can wrap it around yourself. It has Velcro. It gets pretty hot and you can either USB into, if you're in a hotel, right into a USB, like in the lamp. It has a nice long cord, or like I just use one of the boxes from like my phone charger and USB into that and then plug it into the wall. So I always carry my travel one with me. So if anyone's looking for a travel one, I don't know the brand of it, but if you just look up like travel or USB,
but it was
heating,
really flat packed down. It was a lot more travel convenient than I thought because I have this big long. It's like I think it is a brand now, but I got it in Southwark Market in London years ago on the Thames, like one of the Christmas markets when I think they must have been new. But it's a really long, thin hot water bottle with a cover on it, but you can tie it around your neck or your waist or your shoulder. But it's a big thing to put in it, especially if you're a carry-on. So that one that you got was amazing.
Well, and the other one about this, and this show isn't sponsored, I don't even know the brand of it, so I'm not really doing a good job, but you can use it on a plane. I don't think they would want you to use it on a plane, but you could plug it into the USB if you really were having a hard time. There's also those like ones that are like 8-hour ones that you can like just
the ones you
shake
stick on your you can get ones that they like wrap around. They're pretty good.
And then there's like some newer ones coming out that seems like you can charge them and then
that was my
use them
because having to have it plugged in is and then the ones that you stick around like a girdle on you, they're disposable. So from an environmental perspective, because they're great, but you have to buy them in packs 3 and then they go in the bin. And I don't know what the stuff is made of. So someone's going to be a billionaire if they figure that one out.
Well, I did talk to someone on the show who was working on it. She was working on one. She was in Italy and they were still in their preliminary, but I hope that they're very close. So I hope that they're able to launch soon because I do think, and they were like cute and like fashionable. So like if your shirt lifted up, it wouldn't look like you were wearing a diaper or something.
I don't think you care though when you're in that much pain? You're like, I don't know.
No, it doesn't matter.
Just,
yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So
it was good.
Yeah.
I think, is there anything else that stands out for me from New York? No, I think meeting loads of other people, meeting some friends that you have, being in one place where everybody was not the same, but somehow affected, was quite I suppose moving, but I don't mean in an emotional way. It was I thought it was actually really kind of motivating for me anyway. And the other thing was that, it was very easy to speak to everyone because, again, you're kind of on a level playing field. I spoke to some people who have had just crazy complications and very, very serious, almost life-changing or life-threatening moments with theirs. Yeah. But nobody made you feel like, oh, you don't suffer nearly as much.
Across the Pond has kind of taken a little pause, and it's not just because we've been busy. There's been a lot of show content, and something I wanted to mention too, because I'm just going to upload this show probably today or tomorrow. Just as a quick March recap, though we didn't recap too much, is it Elva and Melissa Across the Pond recap. But if anyone is interested or has experience with like podcast editing or social media and you want to volunteer to help, I am a one-person show. I've got a lot of demand for content and a lot of shows in the hopper, but just not a lot of capacity to get them all live. So anyway, if anyone's interested in getting involved, please email me. My email's in the show notes. If you, I don't know, want to volunteer to help get more shows out there.
I've said this to you before. I think you really need it because just life is really busy, right? And there's been times where you've been really honest with me going like, this is just a lot because you've life and work and everything. And I think you've been a bit on the fence sometimes where you're like, can I keep it going? And I've often been like, I have a clue about the technical, but even like the whole motivation to keep it going and talk to guests. And I just feel like you would be losing something so amazing, but you're having to burn so much time in that stuff. I even said to you, no offense to you, but if it's not your area of expertise, you're probably spending like 10 times what someone else who could do it really quickly. It's like when I go to do something and people kind of go, you don't need to click the button 50 times. And I'm like, that's you're a tech, so I'm going to back you up here if there's anyone out there that needs to help, because it's really great and loads of great people come on. And I think it's building. I don't know about numbers, but I think the listenership is building for all these things. And I just hate to see you have to do less shows or get to a point where it's just getting too much for you if there's some help out there. So,
I appreciate that, Alva. Yeah. So if anyone's, again, there's no pressure if anyone's just interested or it's your wheelhouse, but I agree. This is not my biggest skill set. And the thing that's starting to take more time, and I probably should mention this, is I just recently started a TikTok and Instagram channel where I'm going to be doing clips. So I switched my platform, probably TMI, too much information for all of you, but I was using Zoom to do most of the shows. I've switched my platform. So now video can be like side to side or top to bottom. The audio will be better. And so I want to start getting the show out there more on social media, which I haven't really been doing in the past, of like small clips. And so that's what's starting to take a little bit more time. We will also be on YouTube Shorts showing those clips. So the first 5 clips are live. So please go follow if you're interested in watching the clips at the Cycle Podcast on both TikTok and
if we're going to be a clip, then I need
Instagram.
To have bunny ears on.
Yes. So Clips Nation, put those bunny ears on. So it is this show will probably go live. Well, I don't know if the clip will go live, but it's Easter weekend if you celebrate Easter when we're recording this. So Elva is wearing her bunny ears if you're just listening, and they're actually very adorable, and they kind of match the pink sweater you're already wearing. So you look like a rabbit.
Tail, but I'm just the podcast doesn't allow for you to put a tail on. And if you're not watching this, I'm just a ridiculous Irish woman wearing fluffy bunny ears on a random Friday. But it's Good Friday. Well,
it's Good Friday. It's Good Friday. Yes. It's Good Friday. So yeah. So thank you, everyone. And it's kind of a random just show, but we wanted to come on and tell you we've met, talk about a little bit about Endo Month, just wrapping it up. Doesn't mean our advocacy is done, but that's, we go all in on March.
It reinvigorated it for me. And I don't know if it did for you. I think, which is a really good thing. So yeah, coming out of March, I've had other Marches since I was diagnosed where I kind of wanted to nearly hide. But this one, I kind of was like, okay, I can keep doing this. I'm not just going to just be a patient. I want to do bits.
Yeah.
So I kind of think,
which is incredible,
which was a great great excuse to go to New York as well. Let's just be honest.
Well, of course. And it was so great to meet in real life. It's almost like surreal. Like it didn't even happen at this point. We were looking forward to it for so long.
Yeah.
But it was an epic time, and I just appreciate you so much as a friend, and I'm so grateful that the show brought us together, and I hope it's bringing together a lot of other people. Who knows, maybe one day there'll be a cycle podcast meetup or something. Maybe that's something we could in Ireland. I know, I wish there was somewhere like in between us that wasn't the ocean, because it would just be a lot easier. Yeah,
Greenland,
that's true. It's kind of in the
actually more middle. I don't think.
Yeah, and Iceland's expensive.
It's fabulous.
Iceland's like crazy expensive. It's fabulous. It's crazy expensive.
I think we should just agree it's got to be New York or Ireland. Ireland's very expensive as well. I think it's pretty much like Iceland. So
true. I think we just need to like build an island in between.
Build an island in the Atlantic. We definitely
in the Atlantic. We'll figure that out. Maybe we'll get like a cruise ship in the middle, and we can just like fly to the cruise ship.
All these ideas.
Okay. Now we're really just babbling, and everyone's like already turned the show off, and they're like, these two are crazy. No, we appreciate we appreciate you being here and listening, and across the pond, we'll be sporadically back here and there as much as we can get time for it. Have some upcoming shows that I'm excited about too, so stay tuned. They are coming. I'm going to have a doctor on, a new app about endo, so lots of exciting shows coming up, and some powerful endo stories. So thank you again for being here. Thank you for listening. Elva, thank you for being such a great friend. I so appreciate you, and we will talk soon.
Appreciate you too. Bye.